Welcome. Thank you for stopping by to visit the channel for this projection of the college football playoff top 6 as of November 8th. If this is your first time visiting the channel and you want to hear a different take of college football from an analytical perspective, if you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and select all so you don't miss another video. Also, like the video and share the video. It helps this channel grow. And in the comment section below, give me your projection of the top 6. So to be honest with you, I know the college football playoff generates a lot of discussion because, it can bring a lot of angst because you have certain teams that are currently in the top 25 that a lot of fans don't believe that they're, top 25 worthy for some, odd reason or whatever the case is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you exactly what the selection process is, because since 2014, the committee has followed that specific process, and a lot of people didn't really listen to how they were going to select the top 6 and select teams in the top 25. So I'm going to dive into that briefly and explain what their selection process is and why they rank teams the way that they do. So let's go ahead and get started. So the way the committee does their selections is 7 common variables. Easily the first 2 variables are wins and losses. That's easy to understand. And then you have quality wins. Now, quality wins, it is essentially a win against a team that has a winning record. If your team is 4-4, it's not a quality win. You got to be above 500 for it to count as a quality win. So a winning record, you're 6-4, 7-5. You got to win. That's a win over a team with a winning record. Bad losses. A bad loss is the opposite of a quality win. If you lose to a team that is below 500, counts as a bad loss. Illinois, from my count, is the only team that I can think of in a top 25, in the previous top 25 ranking, that had a bad loss going in. And then they added another one with Michigan State, unfortunately. Top 25 wins is pretty self-explanatory. Top 25 win is a win against a team that is currently in the college football playoff top 25. Simple enough. Game control is a tricky metric. And the reason why it's a tricky metric is because they're not really supposed to incentivize, teams that are just completely hammering folks. But that's really what game control it really is. Game control is essentially how well you have blown a team out and also keeping the lead in the process, which is why the committee explained that TCU last week didn't really play well on offense and defense. Really what they were saying is for the last couple of weeks, TCU had an issue essentially having to come back in multiple games this year, and essentially just not blowing folks out. So their game control was really the worst, I believe, in the top 6 last week. Strength of schedule. The strength of schedule metric is not the strength of schedule that you see on ESPN or CBS Sportsline or Team Rankings or whatever you guys get to get your strength of schedule rankings from. The strength of schedule ranking that they use is a completely different metric. It is not what you're not going to find it on ESPN. You're not going to find it anywhere. It is their own way of calculating it. It's, to be honest with you, it is essentially the BCS formula, which is their version of the strength of schedule. So you're going to see a lot. You're going to see the strength of schedule. You're probably going to hear me talk about certain teams and their strength of schedule and where their ranking is. And it contradicts what is on ESPN.com or CBS Sportsline or wherever it is that you're going to see online is not the same. Trust me. And to be honest with you, and that strength of schedule is really used as a tiebreaker. And this process is essentially explained on the college football playoff website. They actually state that if you do have 2 teams that with a similar body of work or a similar resume, they use strength of schedule as a means of a tiebreaker to sort certain teams out. And you have the conference champ, and the conference champ, that is only added on in the end of the year. So now that you understand what the selection process is and how they go about doing it, I'm going to go ahead and start with the top 6 projection and explain the reasoning and what I think the committee is probably going to do. All right, so we're going to start off with number 1, and the obvious choice here is going to be Georgia. Based on what they did to Tennessee over the last weekend, 9-0, 2 top 25 wins, 6 quality wins, strength of schedules in the top 20, game control, very solid in game control. The way that they handled Tennessee was very impressive. They were able to do what no team on Tennessee's schedule was able to do to them. Number 2, I got Ohio State, and I know Ohio State fans are probably going to be a little upset at that, but at the end of the day, and I get it, they played Northwestern and it was cold, it was windy, whatever the case is. I don't think they did enough in that particular regard to take the number 1 spot. I think with Georgia, with the way that they handled Tennessee, they're definitely going to get more weight beating them. And with Ohio State being at number 2, they're in a solid position where they are. I don't think they're going to drop from 2 to 4 or 2 to 3, to be quite honest with you, if they just keep on winning. Game control, solid. Second throughout the entire top 25 in game control. Right behind a certain team that I'm going to mention later on. Number 3, I could see Tennessee dropping to number 3. And I know there are going to be some fans down in Ann Arbor who's going to be a little bit upset about that just because of the fact that Tennessee lost 1 game to Georgia. But when you have a strength of schedule the way that Tennessee does, strength of schedule is at 10. They have 7 wins against teams with a winning record and 2 top 25 wins. That's about as impressive as, a resume. And I could see the committee keeping them at 3 based on their entire body of work here. So I got Tennessee at number 3. That's why I think the committee is going to keep them. For number 4, I think they're going to put TCU there, and they're going to finally give them some love. TCU 9-0. They have 2 top 25 wins, 6 quality wins. Very solid. Only team with the most quality wins that's in front of them is Tennessee with 7. Strength of schedule is not bad. It's decent. 65 in strength of schedule based on what the committee uses for strength of schedule. Game control is, again, not really there just because of the fact that they have played behind and decided to finally play hard in the end of the games and make their comeback. But I think that's where I think the committee is going to finally put them at 4. And at the end of the day, I think they have the resume there with it. Number 5, I think the committee is going to keep Michigan there at 5. Michigan's strength of schedule is really what's holding them back. Now the game control is phenomenal, is number 1 in that metric. Just a slightly ahead of Ohio State in game control, but with a worse schedule to go with it. The non-conference schedule didn't really do Michigan any favors, and it didn't really draw the best competition in the Big Ten. But at the end of the day, Michigan's strength of schedule will improve because you have Illinois and you have Ohio State coming up. So if Michigan can continue to just keep hammering people with the way that they've been doing this year, then the committee is going to reward them for that. So that's really all that I have about Michigan, honestly, though. They just got to keep on winning. They're just putting when I say they, I mean the committee. They're putting Ohio State and Michigan against each other. So the winner really of that game, if they both go undefeated, winner of that game, they go to the Big Ten championship, they win that game, they're in. So I really don't think they have much to worry about at this point. If you're Michigan, you are sitting in a really good spot. So one of those teams in the top 4, they are going to lose, so to speak. So not really worried too much if you're a Michigan fan. So you should be in a good spot. And at number 6 to round it out, I got Oregon. Oregon's been really hot. The one thing about Oregon is that they don't really have the top 25 wins. They only have just one, and they only have 2 quality wins against teams with a winning record. Strength of schedule is at 77th, but the game control is actually higher than TCU's, actually, surprisingly. And that is with them getting blown out by Georgia. So it says a lot. So if Oregon were to lose that game by 20 instead of by 46, their game control would have actually been in the 20s, which is crazy, to be quite honest with you. But that is what I got in the top 6. One of the few things that I think you guys want to look into if you're going to watch the ranking show tonight, don't be surprised if Alabama is still in the top 10. Now, I don't think they're going to be 7th or anything like that because LSU is going to be ranked ahead of them for sure, just because of head-to-head for that reason. But I think Alabama will fall no worse than 10. I actually have them projected at 9th. To be honest with you, their game control is actually really good. Their game control is, by my count, 4th. No, I'm sorry, 5th. They're like 5th in game control throughout the entire top 25. So, and also with their 2 losses, they also got to keep in mind that the 2 losses that they had were last second losses. So I think the committee's looking into that as well. So I don't think they're going to drop them completely out of the top 10. I think they'll stay right around 9th, no worse than 10th in my opinion. And with that being said, that is a wrap for the playoff committee projection of the top 6. So in the comment section below, give me what your projection of the top 6 is going to be before the show tonight. And also, if this video was something that you were interested in, please give me a like and also subscribe to the channel if you want to stay updated with the latest previews, the occasional highlights, and also the projections of the college football playoff top 6. Thank you for watching, and thank you for visiting the channel.